Good morning. Thank you for joining us today. This is Scott Jorgens. A little bit about Endeavour Solutions. We've been around for 25 years now working in Microsoft Dynamics. Have 3 lines of business: advisory, implementation, optimization, and support. Advisory services focuses on helping clients select ERP and CRM systems, and more specifically, working through their business processes in support of Microsoft Dynamics GP, Dynamics CRM, and Office 365. Our implementation teams are obviously heavily involved with upgrades as well. And our optimization and support is through our help desk, now supporting over 400 clients out of our offices in Toronto, Halifax, London, and Montreal, as well as extended support to Edmonton and the Ottawa area. Encourage you all to visit us online at www.endeavorsolutions.ca. And we also have a variety of information on our LinkedIn. Please follow us. And we do use LinkedIn to announce special promotions and future webinars. So today we're going to be talking about why upgrade to GP 2016. And obviously there's a glass half full and glass half empty approach. Looking at a reactive, GP 10 and GP 2010 are both off of mainstream support. GP 10 is actually losing extended support as well. Endeavour will still help you with these applications. However, if you're on them, there's going to be no critical updates from Microsoft, and you're running into increased number of risks of lack of integration to other third-party products. We recently even had a prospect call us the other day. They were on GP 9 and want to take a few leaps forward and come to GP 2016. In addition to older versions of GP, you may be forced into an upgrade or taking more of a reactive approach because SQL Server, the underlying database supporting Microsoft Dynamics, older versions are also coming off of mainstream support and extended support. GP 2016 is also now dropping support for SQL Server 2008. So those that are on older versions, you may also need to be upgrading your database at the same time. Over the last 3 years, Microsoft has been releasing a number of great enhancements to the GP platform. As you can see in the photo here, not only has there been a number of enhancements, but they're also accelerating in the launches. The current goal for Microsoft is to have a new release in R1 and an R2 each half of each year. So typically in sort of late spring and then again in late fall for a potential R2. For 2016, it's really the new HTML browser that they're quite excited about, and our team as well. We have a summary in the new GP 2016 white paper on our website, so after the webinar I encourage you to visit us at www.endeavorsolutions.ca. Under the Our Services drop-down, you can find Microsoft Dynamics GP, and clicking on this large icon, you can quickly download the white paper. So, top 5. What's new in GP 2016? And then we'll get into a quick look at the new HTML5 web client. And I have a special guest with me today to show navigation within the HTML5 client. Number 2 of what's new is the new architecture. This actually came out in GP 2015, but the service-based architecture makes it easier for integrations, greater for support of the cloud and mobile. It was also the foundation that allowed Microsoft to release this new HTML5 web client. Also, the new architecture provides stronger links to Office 365 or Microsoft Office. One of the new things is ability to export or Excel or copy-paste into Excel as accounting formatted numbers, which is nice when you get all your commas and decimals in the right spots and not pasting as text. Also worth noting, with GP 2016, Office 2010 is no longer supported. So again, feel free to give your Endeavour consultants a call and ask them about Office 365, which includes perpetual license, so you get the most latest version of Microsoft Office year after year, and you won't have to worry about older versions being out of support. Number 3 on the top 5 of what's new in GP 2016, there's a variety of new all-in-one viewers. First one came out in 2015, and 2 additional viewers. It's handy for viewing transactions across multiple entities, and we'll be able to show that to you shortly. Workflow But 2.0, there's new and better workflow conditions, Word templates, and the document attached with 2016 now allows for scanning of multiple documents, and we're really getting into more of that paperless society. And number 5 is SmartList. This is something that I've been talking to a few of our consultants about, is with 2016 we can now import and export SmartLists across various installs. So that's both for your multiple installs or divisions, if you have that, as well as potentially opening the opportunity for us to take SmartLists from one client to another client and be able to share things that are obviously dependent on their implementation and what's relevant. So with that in mind, let's take a quick look at the HTML web client. We will be doing a full demo of GP 2016 on an iPad in our next month's webinar series, and we're going to connect our iPad up to the screen sharing and be able to show you a little bit more of a deeper dive. Today we're going to look at Chrome, and here is the GP HTML5 web client in Chrome, and it is resized as you go. So here's sort of iPad size, smaller iPad mini or Android tablet. You can even get into smartphone size. Let me turn it over to Jim McCullough, who's going to give you a quick overview of some of the navigation. Okay, Jim?
Well, thanks very much, Scott. So I'm an accountant. The techie stuff is really not my thing. The very first thing I noticed about this version, and I think the most important thing, is it looks pretty much exactly like the Windows version we're all used to, just slightly tweaked to make it look kind of like the tablet applications that we're also all used to. So you see that there's no menus up on the top the way there currently is, which is a holdover from 8 and 9. They've got the menus down the side, and they have these little expand, contract things to get you to the parts, and these little up and downs. So if I hit that little up, I get what we're all used to seeing, the main areas. And if I hit these little ellipses, I get the other areas that used to be over here. So let's start with the home page. We're all familiar with that. Okay, we're all familiar with the home page. So I've clicked on home. I get the home page, and I get the links. And there used to be a button over on the right-hand side that would allow you to open and customize this. Sorry, and of course there still is on the Windows client. So again, the really cool thing about this is that it's pretty much the same, to me anyway, is it's pretty much the same as the Windows client, same functionality, very slight changes in the presentation to be the same as what you're used to. So we click the little ellipsis. Here's the thing that we're all used to. Okay, this is the box that you use to customize on the client, the Windows clients over in the top right. We've got quick links to my reports clicked, which is pretty much the norm, I think, for most clients. In looking at this, I do note that they've still got Business Analyzer, which is popular, although they're not updating it. And they've added Power BI, very hot technology that I'm personally interested in. So there's a couple of changes in functionality here, which I believe are also in the Windows client, but that's an aside, really. These changes, same deal as on the Windows client. We can add, modify. Looks almost exactly the same as the Windows client. So it's incredibly cool that we're getting this on. I understand this is on Chrome. We could get it on any kind of browser, I'm told.
Yeah, and we've worked with it on the iPad, on my Android phone, and I even did it from home on my wife's MacBook.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. Anyway, so let's take a look at some of the core stuff. So if I go to financials, again, it looks pretty much exactly like the screens that we're used to, which I like. And if we open up, say we want to do a general journal entry, we click the general, we get the same screen. Well, obviously it's not the same screen, but it looks the same, pretty much identical. At least I can't see any differences between that and the Windows screen. Now, if we want to see another screen, okay, so if we wanted to switch to, say, sales, and we've got GL transaction entry, and at the same time we want to do a sales transaction, we can't do it this way. We use the looking glass thing. and we type the sales, and then it brings it up that way. So let's just say, for example, sales transaction up top. So we go to sales, and it comes up on top. Now, on the Windows version, there'd be the taskbar down below to flip back and forth, and the functionality is still there. It's just in a slightly different place. We use the Windows thing, and all the open ones are right there. So that's how I flip back and forth between the, 8 or probably not 8, but 5 or 6 windows that we customarily have open. So this looking glass, in my way of thinking, it's a kind of a combination taskbar and lookup. Now, one other thing that's really cool, and I think Scott, actually I don't think, I know Scott alluded to this in his opening presentation. Stop me if I get this wrong, Scott. So we get these all-in views, which is new, both for Windows and for the web. And if I click one, what they've done is they brought stuff in from other. They tried to put everything together, the stuff that people normally want. So I can.
Let's show the sales one too.
We look at the sales one. I was going to close them all actually, but that's good too. So we've got the, and if we wanted to see a client, Contoso, I think, that's the top one right there, or Continental. We could have picked either one. And so we see all the invoices and cash receipts for that client, together with the quotes, orders, and credit returns. And I think that's really about it. So again, in summary, what we've got as a presentation is pretty much exactly the same as the Windows client that we've all come to, know if not love, with the menus very slightly tweaked in a way that looks very familiar with the stuff that we're now used to seeing on tablets and phones, and they've added some new all-in-one reporting. How's that, Scott?
Fantastic. Thanks very much, Jim.
So let's bring it back to presentation and look at some of the other components. So with the all-in-one viewers, just as a recap, purchasing all-in-one viewer looks at the purchase orders, receipts, invoices, payments, and returns all in one page. The sales all-in-one, as Jim looked at, had the quotes, orders, and invoices. And then we have our inventory movements. Over the last 3 years with GP Financials, a number of small little enhancements. And if you look at what's in the 2013 in the middle and left column, these are really sort of enhancements that make the life easier for the finance team. And then we look into the later half of 2013 R2 and into 2015, we're getting into more of the workflows. And that's extending the value of GP off to the rest of the organization. Within distribution, similar aspects where we're managing day-to-day components and then expanding them with workflows for streamlined approvals within the internal teams. And looking at the different workflow types, in 2013 we have purchase orders, payroll, project timesheets, and then we're moving into 2015, 2016, some vendor approvals, more of the batch components, employee self-service, obviously extending into more of the web components. And with the new service-based architecture, it's a lot easier to connect Dynamics GP into other portals, whether they be a SharePoint portal or external Microsoft or Java portals, etc. With GP 2016, we're also introducing some new advanced workflow conditions as well as workflow reassignments. And the reassignments are critical in terms of user adoption. If someone's away, you don't want to have a large bottleneck. So be able to work around that really improves the workflow capabilities within GP. In addition to complementing the workflows is the document attach feature, where they can include, for this example here with AP invoice approvals, it's actually going to attach the scanned-in invoice and be able to store that and move that across with the process, as well as the pertinent details needed for the approver. So the approver will receive an email, it have the attached invoice and hyperlinks that are related to that specific transaction, all through an automated fashion. The last one in terms of sort of a neat function that came out, I believe, is in 2015, but something that still gets celebrated. It's a subtlety, but having debits before credits. And this is in the SmartList, in the Excel reports, the database tables and views. So what's next? Looking at the time, we have 10 minutes left. There's two main options for upgrades. The options really look at option one, standard upgrades. This is a technical facelift, the ability to consider adopting some of these new functions, such as the new web client, taking advantage of some of the smaller user-requested enhancements. Typically, these take a few days, depending on the size of your organization, relatively low cost, and low user effort. It's often done behind the scenes, and users receive their, the new updates, turn it off, do your proper backups, etc. But not a lot of involvement of your subject matter experts, not a lot of analysis needed. With the standard upgrades, it does mitigate the risk of your older system. Make sure you're updating the underlying databases and all the other components. Endeavour, we typically do about 2 to 3 of these, sometimes up to 6 or 7 per month, depending on time of year. Option two is really looking at a strategic upgrade, taking that step back and looking at, do we want to re-engineer and improve different processes? Do we want to implement the workflow? Do we want to look at new modules? There's a number of clients we work with that are considering different ISV products and different GP modules to further enhance and automate their businesses. And it's often part of a growth and maturity model, but sometimes also just as companies are expanding product lines, expanding services off to their clients, that GP needs to catch up in new modules to be able to support those. These are often a few weeks, sometimes up to a few months, depending on the depth and changes that are being made. Obviously, it does take a larger investment and a greater involvement of the users for training, as well as on the subject matter expertise approach. And it's really, you're supporting innovation, supporting the competitiveness of your organization. We sort of do 6 to 10 of these per year, plus a variety of new client installs. And when we get new clients coming off of competitive systems to Microsoft Dynamics GP, whether they're moving up from smaller business that have outgrown QuickBooks or FreshBooks or some of the Simply Accounting, or coming off of Sage or NetSuite or some of the other larger systems, there's often a time for re-engineering and fixing their workflow processes. Summing it up, option one, easy. Option two, hard. So this is a hard. Why do we want to consider putting in all the extra effort? Really, the reason of having an ERP system is put the tools in place to allow your team to achieve more. You could have goals for growth, for productivity, competitiveness, that's reaction time, ability to answer client requests, to be able to provide different pricing mechanisms, different distribution mechanisms, different options out to your clients. Ultimately, better data, better reports, better decisions. So the strategic focus is really looking at that business improvement. What is the art of the possible? How can we take advantage of this new technology and leapfrog other competitors who are still on older systems or haven't adopted the Dynamics GP platform and are drowning under systems that are inefficient and not meeting their needs? And ultimately, you do need to make sure you consider your users' capacity for change. If you have a number of other projects on the go, if you have fresh staff, then maybe now is the time. And when do you have access to your subject matter experts? So do you really need to look at that strategic aspect? First, really understand what's working, what's falling short. Look at multiple viewpoints. I hear this a lot from our consultants, that the end user's perspective is very different from the executive's perspective, both on day-to-day transactions as well as the value of data and the value of reporting. And, often you need to have a meeting of the minds. Different points of inspiration for considering how strategic you want your upgrade to be, looking at competitors, looking at others in the same industry, as well as looking into other industries. And these are obviously insights that the Endeavour consultants have in terms of not only the software capabilities, but how are other organizations within other industries and within the same industry taking advantage of Dynamics GP to automate their business and be able to ultimately service their customers. There is outside data that you can find as well, and there's reports that can be purchased in terms of key performance indicators, in terms of number of back office staff to size of organization, and other components. So the implications of being strategic. If we want to go down that strategic route, what are the results? Well, the results are really improved returns, greater potential for productivity, greater potential for competitiveness, greater potential for improved financial performance. And we have case studies on our websites. We have unofficial analogies and a lot of stories and references from our clients who have really improved their operations by getting GP to work the way it should and the way they want it to work, and even helping them expand their view and their services as they continue to grow within their own organizations. The implications of being strategic is there is a lot of changes in the business. Changes from status quo can be scary for end users, even potentially for executives. It does take a mindset to make sure that we can communicate properly the new processes, have the end user training, phase it in the right time, and make sure that everything can be coordinated in a meaningful fashion. And that's where a company size of Endeavour with our project management experience really does come into play. There are requirement investments, time investments, financial investments, and obviously the implementation effort. So how can Endeavour help? As we started, we have our advisory services, we have our implementation and upgrade teams, and we can help you make the choice between a standard versus strategic, or somewhere in between of what that upgrade looks like. We also help clients start adopting CRM and Office 365, and how do those integrate in with Dynamics GP, and when does it make sense? So with that in mind, I recommend that you reach out to your Endeavour consultants, or you can reach out directly to Steve Ewing, our Director of Business Development. Steve is a seasoned business executive and has a lot of great insights and helps clients day to day, and also provides a fair bit of leadership to our internal consulting team. So with that in mind, thank you very much and have a fantastic day.